Welcome to the Sims project. This is about a very real journey to discover new atoms. Scientists have been exploring for new stable atoms for over 90 years. We are joining in the quest by mapping the periodic table. We bring with us a new idea about how atoms work, a new hypothesis that we can use to discover the hidden mechanics. We call this the liquid gravity model. It is a method that uses the data from the table of known isotopes and maps the structure and characteristics of each atom. Most of the atoms are unstable, and each has a very specific cause and effect that we want to identify. This will help to discover new atoms and predict their characteristics. The first postulate of the liquid gravity model is that neutrons are made from high-energy light waves. Light waves are forged into particles in the heart of large stars. The intense gravity collapses the waves into loop structures. The positive and negative zones allow the wave to become contained in a closed loop instead of a straight path across the universe. This closed loop causes the internal pressure to build up and release an electron. The neutron particle has now transformed into a proton with a modified structure. The second postulate is that quantum gravity is the strong nuclear force. Science has had a good understanding of calculating the gravity of stars, planets, and people and how to measure the forces in between. However, science hasn't solved gravity in other areas such as at the atomic scale. Atomic-level calculations produce results that are far too small to ever detect. Liquid gravity suggests that both time and matter undergo dilation due to the increase of density. A neutron would need the equivalent mass as pollen for gravity to match the nuclear strong force. We begin our liquid gravity method by calculating the balance values. An atom's stability is primarily controlled by being balanced between the two charge fields. Too much negative pressure will cause a negative beta decay, and too much positive pressure will cause the opposite. The next method is mapping the links between nucleons. Nucleons have positive and negative terminals that create electrical circuits. A charge produced by the proton can be passed on to multiple neutrons or directly expelled to form a positive field. Each positive field will have a different energy level, depending on how many neutrons it has passed through. The wave action flips the electrical circuit from side to side, causing alternating positive fields, which produces electron spin. Some circuits don't form correctly, resulting in orphan neutrons, which will go on to decay. The next method is identifying the kiss points. These locations are where nucleons touch each other, which can vary from single to multiple touch points. Kiss points displace material called binding energy, and its quantity can be easily calculated from the reduction in its mass. Liquid gravity condensate covers the nucleons to form a strong binding force that holds the nucleons tightly together. Gravitational radiation forms a negative field around the atom that balances the positive fields. The tidal property. This acts directly on the liquid gravity condensate and has a large effect on binding energies. Each nucleon has strong gravitational condensate that attracts and binds the atom together. Gravity causes a tidal increase in condensate to accumulate at each kiss point. More nucleons increase the gravitational tide levels, which displaces more binding energy and reduces the radiation surface area. The stacking method is the next property that can cause an atom to be strong or experience structural failures. Nesting provides higher bonds between nucleons, and layering reduces the bonds. Stacking is determined by the linkages property, and nesting will transform into layering as the pile of nucleons increases. Odds and evens are the final property that shows a small variation in binding energies. These relate to the way circuits are formed when uneven numbers of nucleons cause magnetic variations. Those are 6 properties of atoms that will enable us to predict the structure of new atoms. Why do we need a new atomic model when there are 2 that scientists have already developed? Their models don't help to predict new atoms and can't answer all the questions. Like, can they calculate binding energy? If so, can they break it down into energy per nucleon? What about predicting beta decay? Or stability patterns? And what about the spin of electrons? The new liquid gravity model can answer more questions with higher accuracy. So get on board with our quest to explore Stability Island and discover new atoms.